All right, Adamas.
Yes, Amanda.
You're on. So we're going to talk about the remedies for the Dakini course that's coming up.
Great. Yes,
and
yes.
you're going to be using your amazing Omni Tech. So I wonder if you can just introduce it to us, because we're going to be working with 3 different bottles.
Okay, well, let's start with, I mean, the whole concept of OmniTech is to make stronger remedies so they actually have a deeper, more lasting action on the body, and it actually teaches the body to not only recognize that frequency, but, you know, in the same way as we learn to, say, drive a car, or we learn to type, or we learn any mechanical skill, enough exposure to that behavior will eventually cause us to learn it, and then it becomes automatic. We don't think when we drive, we just drive, right? So that's what I'm looking at doing with the whole OmniTech thing, is to give strong enough imprints to the body to let the body recognize it and train the body in these frequencies, so that then it then becomes part of one's energetic armor, or one's blueprint, or the tattoo on one's DNA. So it becomes a learned thing. So you've actually got it in your armory, so it's there forever. So this is the idea behind OmniTech. Now, the first one I'd like to talk about is the diamond, which is, it's almost, I can consider it almost like the signature piece of the whole OmniTech.
I have my bottles here so that people can see what they're going to be getting.
I've got much prettier bottles now.
Yeah, you've got new packaging.
No, I've got much better packaging now. I've got much better packaging, nice labels and whatnot. So, but the diamond, like I said, I consider it like a signature piece. When I spend a lot of time thinking about is what's in there is the Omni remedy, which is a multiple combination remedy of diamond. It's a burnt diamond, so it's a diamond that's been burnt 15 times to refine the essence of it. Now, this is important because when you bear in mind that we're carbon-based life forms, or carbon-based, our diamond is, of course, carbon. So this is like the distillation of the carbon. It's like to take almost like the crude carbon stuff that we want to, I mean, it's already been transformed from coal into diamond, but then the burning of the diamond takes it the next step further to like evolve the frequency of to its purified essence, and which allows us to play with the 6 in us, which is what diamond is on the periodic table. So it's the metamorphosis, or the fullest expression of the diamond in that. Now, to this, I've added normal homeopathic diamond. So it's got the burnt diamond and the whole diamond, and then I've added the Naya Rao. Now, this Naya Rao is something very special I got out of the jungles, or someone got out of the jungle in Peru for me. But it's called the mother of all plants. Now, for me, when I took it, it represented serenity. So when one combines it with the diamond, you get this very clear, very sharp, very clean mental frequency, but it's very earthed and grounded. It's got roots. The Naya Rao is a tree, and they've taken it from the root. So it's like this incredibly clear, focused headspace, but it's also got depth, and it's grounded. It's not too much up here, which when I first made the Diamond Omni, it was very head. It was very like clinical. Now this gives it heart and roots, which gives it, and then for the mood, I've included a San Pedro flower essence, just to give it the mood of the playfulness of it, because we don't want anything to become too serious. We demand genius and grandiosity of energetic frequencies, but we want it done in the mood of the lila, the play, the dance, the enjoyment of the whole thing, to keep it light. So yes, we're storming heaven.
Isn't it?
It's very Dakini. Yes. No, I mean, when we are storming heaven, with a fat smile on our face, yeah, because why else would we be doing it? I mean, otherwise we risk the urge of taking ourselves too seriously, and that's always an error in view, because then we fall into all sorts of dodgy traps. I mean, and the whole essence of the diamond, the burnt diamond, is like the bursting of the carbon state. It's moving, metamorphosizing into something higher, something more, so we have a greater capacity to contain the different energies which are now coming in. And the interesting thing with the Naya Rao is that it actually disappeared from the planet for a while. Because of logging in Peru, it disappeared, and people thought it was actually a myth. So it was actually gone physically from the planet. A lot of the shamans, they thought it was just a mythological plant. Apparently it's deep in the jungle, and when you see it, it's got these bioluminescent leaves, so the leaves glow in the dark. So it almost is like this shining holy grail of trees. And what it does is it's supposed to be like a universal upgrade to increase one's capacity to deal with things. So as we're running, it's a higher it allows a higher ability to process stuff. So it's called the mother of all plants because it said when you go to this tree, you're going to the source of all knowledge. So it really is like
Wow,
the
so
holy grail,
perfect.
the
Oh my
holy grail in
God.
plant form. Yes.
And
So I mean
just
that combined with the diamond it's very much the masculine and the feminine together because the diamond is 6, which is carbon, which is related to the father, and the mother of all plants, obviously being the feminine. So it's the fusion of the two together, which brings
beautiful.
it's a beautiful combination of the right way to be in the world. It's like yes, the masculine and feminine united in the self, going for the strength and the groundedness of the masculine, the pure potential of the feminine or the power of the feminine, however you want to slice it, doesn't really make a difference because it's all mood at the end of the day. I mean, even labeling these things masculine and feminine is not necessarily the right way to go, but it's useful to help people to get a grasp on what we're trying to do here with uniting these different frequencies.
And
Um,
isn't it also known as the, didn't you say something about it being called the flying tree or something?
yeah, there's actually an Icarus, a song around where it's chanted around to help with flying, the whole flight thing. Whether this is a flight of the mind or physical flight, I mean, quite possibly it's the physical flight as well. We haven't done that much research on it yet. I mean, I've only taken maybe 6, 7 doses of it myself,
Well, we know that,
because
that the mind, the body follows the mind if you
sure,
stay
sure,
in that
sure.
place for long
I
enough.
mean,
So,
but what I'm saying is it's quite a profound frequency. So it's like, I mean,
it
I've
is.
got 30 ml bottles, but if people actually manage to finish an entire bottle, they'll be doing well because it's quite powerful. And it's like, sure, okay, that was interesting. I'll go for another couple doses, but I'm not going to have like 50 doses because it's almost like I don't need that much, and it takes a while to absorb. The idea of the Naira is that it gives you more capacity, but like as you're absorbing the new capacity, it takes a while for that to integrate. So whether one does that quickly, I mean, traditionally, I'm going to take the crude, which I got from Peru. It was like to take a big dose in the evening and then one in the morning. This was the liquid, the Omni I've made from that, and that was supposed to be enough. Now I've heard of other people who consume it every day for like weeks on end. So there are many different methodologies, but the real thing is to get this mythical tree into the body. And I mean, the guy who brought it to me, Kelsey, he was quite determined that this frequency reached the world because he had to go 3 days into the jungle in a boat, and like eventually it cost him like $600 to get the stuff, which is a fortune in the jungle, right? To get like a liter of this stuff. But I mean, this was really like a grail quest
Right,
into the
sounds like
heart of
it.
the jungle and getting it from the shaman, bringing it out sort of mosquito and crocodile infested waters. It was a classic sort of grail quest to search through. And he just when he got it, he got robbed and drugged. So it's like all these obstacles were put in the way of him actually, and he just had to keep overcoming. And I was just encouraging him like, just get it to me once it's here. To the world, which is very much the mission of what it's about. Is like it got taken away and now it's being brought back because it's actually required at this time where we need greater capacity for expansion. So it's a very exciting mix of things. As I said, I took a lot of time in my own head, like going over what exactly was to be in how these two were to be combined, and it's in a sense two of the most powerful substances in existence sort of brought together, and then with the mood of the San Pedro flower, which is very much the playfulness of it. So it's yeah, like I said, I consider it my flagship piece for Omni Ultra Tech. It's like, but it's
It is
also
magnificent, I must
it's
say.
a very beautiful thing, and yeah, I hope everyone enjoys its creation and taking as much as I do. Yeah,
I
so
know. Well,
that's
we're
yeah.
gonna see how it
No,
goes,
it's very
hey?
exciting.
I
It's
mean, I
perfect
just
for the
love it.
Dakini course. Yeah. I mean, it's really the uniting of the masculine and the feminine. What it reminds me of is there's some Dakini cards. There's cards which are based on 64 Dakini temples. Now, each of those 64 temples is a different mood of the feminine. I actually have these cards, so I'll show them to you one day. But they all dance around Shiva, the masculine, right at the center. So it's like different aspects, and the masculine almost like reflects them. And Shiva's got his little fount in the middle, and there's 64 aspects of the feminine around that. So, in a sense, the carbon, the diamond, and then the mother of all plants is doing a similar kind of thing, right? And then obviously the different manifestations, well, that is, it's infinite, where there's 64 million Dakini faces, it doesn't matter. It could be 64 billion. It's just different aspects of it. But to give people something where they can actually taste this on an energetic level and imprint into their body, and it's like say, well, look, this is really the capacity you're capable of. Now go and play. It's like sort of back to the Garden of Eden, take the fruit back. It's like reconquer it. It's like it's all part of that as well. It's
Take
like
back the
taking.
garden.
Take back the garden. Yeah. Get a snakeskin belt.
This time we're going to do it our own way. That's right.
No, this is it. I mean, my lineage, as you know, very much is like the Titans going back into the God realms and like reclaiming what was theirs originally. But it's really about all the secrets coming out at this point, and this is some of the energetic secrets. These are two of the most carefully guarded substances that are in existence, basically. I mean, the diamond basma is guarded more by its extreme price, and the nairao has been by its hardness to find. Like I said, shamans in Peru actually thought this plant was a myth. That's how rare it is. So, but it's returned to us. It's like the Grail at the time of need. It's returned to the world to upgrade everyone's capacity to deal with riding the whirlwind, so that if these solar flares do pop out, we can just surf it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, onto the
Can I
gold.
just say something about
Yes.
just my experience of taking the remedy that
Mm.
I shared with you already, but I just want to share it with the group on the video that I had an amazing opening. The thymus, the thyroid, and the pituitary, like just all clear and open. It was just this top upper sort of section was like the top of the tree, that kind of thing, all open here, here, and here, like this
Brilliant.
immediate effect. It was unbelievable. And then a lot of experiences of that bioluminescence. So depending on what I was focusing on, and actually, like if I focus on the Dakini images, then I'm just seeing Dakinis every day, all day long, like a lucid dream of Dakini.
Brilliant.
This
Yeah.
amazing ability to kind of amplify our inner, I suppose, wisdom space.
Yes. No, beautiful. Yeah.
Very exciting.
You see, what's important to remember is like the whole left-hand, right-hand path thing. Now, I mean, if you want to do it literally, it would literally be the experimental, the tantric versus like the teachings. So the teachings cross over. Now, a lot of these energetic states are the medicine. So to give people a taste of it, it's the school of raw experience. Like we can read about stuff, we can read about Dakinis till we're blue in the face, but until we have some direct experience of what that really is, and we know it in ourselves or we've tasted it, then we speak from experience. Then we can really start to play with it because it becomes part of our experiential database as opposed to our intellectual one, which is obviously grounded in reality. So we can only go so far with it. It's the same, obviously, with the Kundalini story. People can talk about Kundalini till the cows come home, but until it starts rising, then it's a different story. Then until it comes home, then it's a different story. Then you can talk about it with experience, and then everything you thought about it was just like ridiculous, and then it really starts to become a living thing. And this is what I've tried to do with these medicines, to bring these really beautiful, powerful medicines to people who actually will want them and appreciate them and use them. And like where it goes, I mean, it really feels on some level like a reverse Pandora's box thing, but like in the box are all these beautiful secrets and gems, which are like, if I'm Pandora, I'm like ripping open the box and allowing them out into the world. Why? Because I trust myself in doing it, and it's time, and the fact that it's arising at this time and these things are coming to me, or I'm seeking them out and they're arising, means that it is time. That's the essence of crazy wisdom. You don't question this. Like the Nayara was brought to me without me asking for it. It's like this friend of mine who's a patient who's read my book. He was like, oh wow, I've got this substance, I'm going in to get it. And I just got super excited because I could feel the potential of the substance. Like, just get it out of Peru, because I could feel the nugget energy of holding it there that didn't want it to be released. But on another level, one on a grail quest, one does have to go through the swamps and the monsters, and people will stop it coming out into the world. And this is really what it's been. I mean, he had to go through a lot of that, but that was obviously his quest. But his quest was to bring it to me so I could turn it into medicine to bring it to everyone else. Because if the crude is very hard to get hold of, and I mean, if he wants more of the crude substance, he has to go back into the jungle and deal with the same shamanic hoo-ha and mission and expense and time and whatnot, whereas now this frequency has been captured and amplified with using the whole Omni Tech, and it's there for everyone to consume. It's so exciting. It's crazy.
It is. It's so exciting, and I think it's amazing just how it's going to play in with the teachings. It's going to be
I think it's
a
perfect.
joy.
It's a great dance we've concocted here, Amanda. You know, it's like you bring the people, I bring the substances together. Yeah, we create something really amazing and beautiful. It's very special. It's very precious, actually.
Very
Yeah.
beautiful. I am so excited about it, and I mean, just the links to being able to ground and root in order to fly.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
and
yeah.
you swing a sword with your mind. You know what I mean? Then we go places.
You swing a sword with a mind, but it's good to have your feet on the ground, otherwise you fall over.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. No, to be rooted in the earth, yet, and then to fly is what's required here, and I think that's what that the diamond substance will allow people to do. Let me talk a little bit about the gold.
Yes.
The gold is also a basma. Basmas are a particular category of remedy which is made. It's an alchemical remedy made by Indians. I mean, the technology for it goes back thousands of years, but they burn it, you know, between 15 and 50 times in order to get this purified form. Now, the gold, homeopathically, we normally use gold. It's quite a heavy, dense remedy, but once it gets burnt, it lightens it. Now, the gold basma for me is not the only thing I put in that bottle. I've put the wild asparagus root. So the gold basma is about worldly karma, so like living in the world. But the wild asparagus root is about rising above worldly karma. So it's like when you combine the two, it's like going into the world, playing out your worldly karmas, which we do need to play out because it's part of our lesson, our learning, our experience here, our journeying through the world. But then also to rise above it, not to be dragged down too much like in the cold face of it, to allow you to rise above it, to see the lessons as they arise, but to be not too disturbed by it so we can actually get the learnings of it. So we can play in the world, be of the world, you're not dragged down by it, because often that's what happens, that I see people get so immersed in it that they lose the plot and then they just go into suffering. And then there's no benefit in there. I mean, often they'll come out of the suffering or not. Sometimes they get caught in the spiral and then end up homeless on the street. That's what we're trying to avoid. So it's to allow people to go into the world, to play the karmas of it, and yet to be enough above it so that they don't get dragged down by it. So the gold is very much a more um, in the world. I mean, gold's normally associated with the heart as well. So it's like open heart in the world, but still in the trenches, in the mud, in the daily events, still going to the banks and dealing with the accountants or the lawyers and, you know, all of that, but being able to rise above it. Because I think this is where a lot of people, myself included, you know, I've like, you know, pulled back from a lot of the stuff. It's like, oh, I want the money, but I don't really want to get involved with all these kind of sketchy characters. I mean, sketchy characters here, I'm talking like lawyers and accountants and whatever. I don't like want the mess of
That's
that.
the
But
gold realm speaking.
that's the gold realm speaking. But you know, when it's united with the wild asparagus root, it allows one to go in without getting too dragged down into it. To always have this moment of rising above it, to look back down, which I think is valuable for us all. I mean, whether it's we're dealing with just driving around Joburg, or you know, dealing with the nitty gritty of business, or you know, building of websites. All of this is like the worldly mission karma, which we all have to deal with, and to be able to rise above that, to see it for what it is, I think that's when the lessons, we can really see it as lessons, and then there's no suffering. Then it's just like, wow, look at this dense array that I'm wading through every day, and I'm just experiencing the learning of it. And that's what I've tried to do with the gold. So like, yes, we're in the world, but let's get the most from it and enjoy it as much as possible. But just by giving one that distance, I mean, for myself, if one's caught in something, one can just step back for one moment and see oneself for that moment. That's all it takes, just to break its hold on you. If you can see yourself being angry for a moment, you can almost laugh at it, and then you break the spell of it. But if we can't, if we're like right in it, then we're caught. And this is what the gold tries to do. It tries to allow us that step back from reality so we can actually look back down on it without getting dragged into it. Now, the last
Can
one,
I just
yeah.
say something about gold quickly? Just, and I know we don't have time today, but the gold is gold as a alchemical frequency and a mythological kind of archetype is such an interesting frequency to explore, because of course it goes back to the Garden of Eden times, you know, where this idea that possibly, you know, there was part of humanity that was created in order to mine for gold, and these
That too.
archetypes, you know, plus the fact that gold in a high spin state is known as the ultimate elixir, right? The immortality frequency. So the gods used to mix gold into this like manna, like shamana, you know, they call it
Mm,
shamanic substance that
mm,
puts such a high frequency into the body that you wouldn't even have access to worldly thoughts
mm,
or karma as such to be
mm,
in that
mm,
state. So it's an interesting. It is definitely a space of creation. It's part of the gods realm for sure.
mm.
So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, will be part of what will be gods and goddesses. You know, the both
Yes.
sides of what that means to people.
Yeah, it'd
Definitely
be interesting
explored.
to see how people work with it and what comes out of it, because these are also just in terms of like worldly wealth, gold and diamonds. These are two essential bits, and I mean South Africa is built on it. You know, those two, the gold and the diamonds, are like the South African heritage in a sense, and it's a lot of the karma associated with it, what people did with it to get it. You know, this is saying, okay, well, now we're allowing it out to everyone, you know, in terms of like, well, this is what you've been surrounded by, this is what the whole country's been built on. Like, now consume it, really taste it, understand the frequency of it, take the wisdom energy, and almost like the further expression, because as the gold and the diamonds are in the crude, the basmas, the burnt versions, are the high spin versions where it almost transforms itself and allows itself to get to its magical state. So to release these back out into the world at a very affordable price for people is also part of the storming heaven thing. It's like Prometheus bringing fire back to the humans from the god realm, and this time not getting caught, bringing it back and saying, okay, well, here it is for everyone to play with. Now work on your own immortality or your own powers, or just whatever it is, your fullest expression of you, because I think this is the time now for that. Which brings me to the last remedy you guys will be using, the AVC, the All Victorious Confidence. I've talked about it a bit before, but the base of the AVC is an omni of royal jelly. So it's that sense of, yes, I'm the queen bee or the king bee. There's no king bee, yeah, but I mean that sense of like, this is my world. I'm all victorious in it, and I'm going out as a monarch in it, and I'm treating everyone fairly and beautifully, but as a monarch. So I'm taking
Sovereign,
that
right?
almost like that sovereign state, that all victorious state, and I'm going out into the world. I mean, part of the ABC also has the light of Jupiter, and that light of Jupiter is the sense of that expansiveness. Jupiter was the ruler of the gods as well. Now, when people take the light of Jupiter, there's a lot of like going out and feasting and enjoying and partying and openness and just no boundaries with people, just like feeling far more open as a person. I mean, when I took the AVC, which is still one of my favorite substances, it made me far more usable. I mean, I was far more likely to chat to the guy by the side of the road than I was before. And just like, well, let's see where he's at. Let's just chat to him. Whereas before, I'd be like, oh, no, I'm in my own head and I'm doing big things or whatever, you know, serious stuff. Yeah. But no, it just allowed me to be more interfaceable. So, and that for me was a huge lesson in itself, and a very beautiful lesson to really put to the test, like, well, okay, here's where your consciousness is arising at this moment. Here's the beggar by the side of the road. Just chat to him about, like, hey, how's your life? What's going on? Like, what little jewels or gems have you got for me at this moment? And that, just that simple lesson of the one taste or the non-duality of all things, that was very valuable in itself. I mean, there's other things in the ABC. There's reishi, which is one of the Japanese mushrooms, which helps you to adapt to all situations. So when it's too hot, it'll cool it down. When it's too cool, it'll heat it up. Um, what else did we put in there? The peacocks in there, rainbows in there, emeralds in there. So it's a very up positive frequency. And so it's like the mood of going into the world. I really kind of designed the AVC as a companion to Karma Burn, which is really about cleansing the space. AVC is setting a positive framework with which to go out into the world. And then the diamond and gold are like the glitter, the gems on top, like the fine filigree on one's armor that one puts on afterwards. Now, we're not complete with those four, but it's a beautiful start in terms of energetic reworking and rewiring of the human pattern and saying, well, look, why do we have to be content with what we have? Why are we not allowed more? Let's go for more and see, trust ourselves to handle more, to step into this regal space of like, well, the world is mine. I will then go out as a sovereign being and deal with all my fellow sovereign beings in the mood of enjoyment and laughter. So it's very much these three remedies that you guys are going to be experimenting with are very much around the New World Order in terms of a better way of living or a higher way of living or a more empowered, more strengthened, more variety in one's manifestation state of being. And I think that if there's a message to anyone ever about anything, that is the message. Like, go out and be yourself completely, but like completely, all your 64 million faces. Play whatever mood you want to play at that moment. Why? Because you can. Why? Because why not? Why? Because it's your life. And why would you deny yourself that? I mean, really, it's like, really, in this boundless universe, why would we settle for less? So, I mean, this is really what the whole Medicine Buddha movie and the Omni Ultra Tech movie are about. I mean, they do different functions, but I mean, it's really doing the same thing. The Omni Ultra Tech thing is really about the specific DNA tattooing, and the Medicine Buddhas is about generating moods, whether it's moods of abundance or moods of brilliance, or but they go hand in hand. It's just two aspects that I'm actually dealing with. One has partners, one is just me. But there will be more to come. These are just the tip of the iceberg because it's ongoing development. But it takes a while.
Once we've consumed it and like become diamonds and and
Yes.
gold and flying trees and everything else, we'll be ready for the next.
There'll be more. I mean, it takes a while for me to develop these things, but yeah, I think there's a lot of work to be done with all of these. And I mean, of course, we're bringing out the Medicine Buddhas is bringing out the shamanic six-pack as well at a certain point. We're just working on bringing out our latest thing, Mighty Soul, which is another story. I'll go into that later. But that's where we are at the moment. But for the moment, with the diamond and the gold, yeah, no, there's a lot of, and the AVC, there's a lot of learning and repatterning to be done with that, and a lot of fun to be had as well. It's like, I honestly believe that taking AVC has made me a better person, whatever that might mean, but I just feel like I'm a more user-friendly individual with my daughter or my friends or in my various relationships with various people. It's just actually made me more engaged with the whole movie, which for me was always part of my thing. I used to sit up on my little cloud and look down and like, but that left me out of a whole lot of the movie. And this is like put me down in it with no sense of like, oh, I'm down on the ground, I'm going to get muddy or messy or anything.
AVC.
As well, yes. And just back to yourself, your fullest expression. And in that fullest expression, yes, you want to play with other human beings and different people because it's part of the pleasure of life. So, yeah.
So we'll
That's
see,
where we're at.
we'll also just leave it up to the participants to have their direct experience and unfold the frequencies themselves. And I think that that's also part of the play and the fun, this idea of playing with the different illusions of life and the different frequencies. They're all experiences for us to gain from. So thank you so much for your amazing technology and your
Pleasure.
incredible genius and wisdom and compassion
Thank
and
you,
all
man.
of it.
And I can't wait to get feedback from everyone on the diamond and gold because it's new territory. We are the pioneers in a sense. So this is very few people have actually had it. So it's like this is a new experience for reality at large. So yeah, everyone who's involved in it, well, it's a great time to be alive.
Great. Dancing with you, Adamas. Well, we'll see you
Cool.
in the next video segment at some point,
Sure.
probably once the course starts.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Hey.
Amanda.
Bye.
Bye bye.